No,
I'm sorry, our delinquencies are increasing. When the house is foreclosed on, is the mortgagor responsible for paying dues, or are we becoming more delinquent because of those?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I guess I'd need some legal.
Ray, do we collect from the foreclosing party during the foreclosure process?
We attempt to, but it's your first holder of the mortgage gets the funds, is what it boils down to. Second, we have not been able to pursue these accounts because by and large, they do fall within the sections of the named plaintiffs.
Let me ask the question differently. Do we invoice the mortgage holder when a house goes into foreclosure for the monthly fees?
We invoice the owner of the property.
No, he no longer owns the property. The mortgage company is taking it back over and owns the deed to the property. Or we invoice the mortgage holder?
No. Why? We often don't get that information. We don't know when it's going over foreclosure.
It's a matter of record, and public records in Frederick County.
And when it becomes record is often a timing issue, and it's sometimes way after the fact or near the fact. It's too late.
Mortgage liens are filed when a property is bought by a purchaser. All you have to do is look at the county records, and you know who held the mortgage on the property.
But how do we know that it's going over to the mortgage company?
Because that's how foreclosure works.
Yeah. That's how what?
That's how
but how do we get
foreclosure
notice that a
How does the
foreclosure is
office know
happening?
that?
Well, I mean,
It's in the
we
newspaper.
know which.
So do we read the newspaper? I mean,
Yeah.
this is something that really your accounts after they reach an aging point need to be turned over to an attorney so they can watch things. But we can't be reading newspapers and monitoring when these happen. We get the information long after the fact.
Well, yeah, actually, the office, I mean, there aren't that many foreclosures here. I mean, they know of some of the foreclosures. The office could do that
So
research.
we receive that notice usually after the fact. They're either being foreclosed upon,
All right.
and we don't receive notice. There's no obligation they have to receive, that they have to provide us notice.
No, we're not implying that they do have to
But how do we
provide
find
us
that
notice.
information?
Well, first of all, in some cases, you know a foreclosure is going on. You just said that. In some cases, you're aware that a property is being foreclosed on, correct?
Yes, but it's usually in the proceedings, or if it's by happen, we don't
Okay,
have
so
any
however
formal
you
notice.
found out, by
How do we-
happenstance, you found out about it.
Yeah,
Well, then we should be watching the records of the county to see when it's foreclosed upon, and we should be billing the mortgagor for the fees. I mean, that should just be something we do as part of the standard doing business.
Don't we sometimes have a lien on it at that point?
we have liens on
We
it.
have a lot of liens, yes.
But the mortgage holder usually assumes all of the first and primary mortgage holder assumes that first, and there's nothing left in the till after.
We're last guy in line,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
No,
Last
that-
time.
You're thinking of the proceeds of the sale.
Mhm.
This is another matter. This is that we are owed dues by whoever owns a piece of property here. We're owed assessments for that.
Well, if the bank is foreclosing, the owner still has the property, right?
No, after the bank forecloses, the owner doesn't have
The actual foreclosure.
Yes.
And then after that is the sale on the courthouse steps, the
Right.
hero.
If it ever gets sold, because you know, foreclosed homes are staying on the market for months and years these days. They're not sold because they can't find buyers.
At the point where the bank forecloses, the bank owns the property. And the bank should be paying our fees.
Right.
Or at least should be billed them.
And tell me again how the office is gonna know when that happens, because I don't see any on the paper that says that. I see
It
the
is.
notices
It's
in the
listed
paper that say
twice.
it's gonna be sold for the mortgage. I don't see anything that anyone would read that someone in the office is supposed to catch up with. And I dare say that's not a routine thing for the office. If we've got a way to do it, that's fine, but I don't think we ought to be looking at Ray and saying, hey, the office ought to be doing that. I don't think that's possible.
It is listed in the newspaper twice.
But
I mean, it
we
goes
don't
in and
have
then 3
people
days
sitting
later
behind
it goes
desks
in.
reading newspapers.
This is
Your
true.
aging accounts are so completely out of the ballpark that you need a major effort made by a professional collection.
No red herrings, Ray. This
Yeah.
is not an aging issue. This is a current issue. This
I-
is something that's happening every month
I
Wow.
read that every day because of what I do for a living.
Mhm.
I read it every day. It takes me 5 minutes. I scan through them. I see the ones at Lake Holiday. It takes 5 minutes. But the part that Ray's talking about is once you find that, then the actual research to find out, okay, who owns this property now? How do we contact them? How do we tell them that they now owe dues? That's very complicated, and it is time consuming, that part of it. Finding out who it is not that big a deal. But actually trying to find out who now owns the property and getting them to pay a due could be complicated. But maybe we should try it. Maybe we should investigate it. Maybe we should try one and see how it goes.
And that's the kind of thing that a collection agency might try to do.
I'd be interested to see what other neighborhood associations are doing in this case. Maybe just a little couple phone calls to your people who are in this business and see what, if they have some.
You know,
Line on how this is working.
My collective experience is that I'm never having accounts this far into arrears.
We're not talking about arrears.
But that's part of the process. It's what's led to the foreclosures. Not led to the foreclosure, but it's, your account is out there for so many months, so many years. It's difficult to.
Ray,
Yeah.
this is a red herring.
Yeah.
We're not talking about old arrearages, old delinquencies. We're talking about a house closing foreclosure is taken over by the bank in May. We collect June's assessment from the bank.
Okay, not talking about accounts in arrears, you're talking
I'm
about.
not talking about any old
We
delinquency,
have-
I'm talking about current assessments.
Kind of in essence, Ray, it's like, here's a new owner. It's the bank, but it's a new owner nonetheless.
Mhm.
So maybe we should try to go
They
down
should
the
pay a
other.
hat fee.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We're gonna send the president out to collect those from the banks.
Good job.
Great. On behalf of the board, anybody correct me if they disagree, I'm directing you to go find a way to make this happen. Or come back to the board and say, here's why it can't happen, here's the legal roadblock, and here's a practical roadblock, we can't do it. But
Sure.
we need to know that we're making an effort to collect from every owner, including banks.
And again, other properties have to be going through the same thing. Properties are being foreclosed on everywhere. Maybe a couple phone calls to people who are in, property managers somewhere else, and, hey, what are you guys doing about this? Is there anything you can do?
We have been in contact with banks. And we learned that quite late in the game too, that it has gone over to the bank. And trying to find the bank that has assumed that property is another issue, because the county records are well behind. It's an incredibly complicated, time-consuming thing. Even one account, one agent account. Okay, you don't acknowledge as being agent, right? I think the current assessments aren't as important as the amounts that are in arrears that usually are associated with a property that's going into foreclosure.
I suspect some of what we're saying is all the same, that if we go after a home that's being foreclosed,
It has a great aging
we're
account.
gonna find that is one of the accounts that probably hasn't been paid. They didn't pay up to the day they went bankrupt.
They haven't paid the last
They-
2 years.
They probably
Yeah.
stopped paying that some time ago. I think we ought to at least attempt to see what the process is, and then I think come back and say what we can do, what we can't.
We're just talking about the going forward fees.
The new part.
The ones that now the bank owes us, because they're the owner of the property now.
Okay.
Not the ones that the owner didn't pay us before the house got
We
foreclosed
have
on.
an awfully hard time finding who the new owner is of the property. It is very difficult. They're out of state. We have 3 or 4 houses on South Lakeview that have trees leaning against them. Banks own them. We tried to find the names of those banks that own them for many, many months, to alert them to the fact that there's damage being done to their houses.
Well, somebody holds that deed, it's gotta be a matter of county record.
It has to be recorded, there's a whole process in that, there's a lot of time.
And it's usually about
Yeah,
2 weeks.
or more.
Well, it does, I'll be glad, Wayne, to look into this, and I'll be glad to report back to the board. We're gonna make every effort we can, obviously, so.
If there is in fact a practical or a legal roadblock that makes this impossible, obviously the board is going to give in. But right now, I don't think anybody here at the table understands that there is such a thing. So I'm going to have to ask you to research it and make a report to us.
Sure.
Thank you.